fantasy. Caught in a lockdown, no escape from the quarantine. Time really flies if you just keep yourself busy. 3 weeks at home, boy, you could write your own symphony. Or you could play the drum, learn to sew, watch your favorite TV show, stare outside the window, just stop the spread of COVID-19.
Hi, Evan. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, Christine. How about you?
I'm all right. I'm still, like last broadcast, still nervous about this pandemic. It's pretty serious, I mean, to say the least.
It is scary stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah, so it's Saturday, April 4th, 2020. I'm Christine. I'm corresponding from Cumberland, Maryland. And Evan, dear old friend of mine, is corresponding from Iowa. Where in Iowa, Evan?
Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
Yeah, in our last broadcast, you showed a very scary graph, and it's not to be taken lightly. I just want to state some stats at the beginning of this broadcast. It's Saturday, April 4th, 2020. Coronavirus pandemic is wreaking havoc, and we've got 1,196,097 reported coronavirus cases, and that does not include those that have not been tested or reported. We've got 64,546 deaths. It's devastating. Those are human lives, each very worthwhile and valuable. This is tragic. We've got 246,110 people that have recovered, which is good news. But when you do the math, Evan, we've got 885,441 coronavirus cases. Those are people that have not recovered yet. And like I told you in the last broadcast, ARDS, acute respiratory distress syndrome, is what's killing people. It's what comes as a result of coronavirus getting into the trachea, getting into the lungs. And ARDS has a 40% morbidity rate. So, people are on ventilators. There's a huge demand for ventilators right now across the country. But the tragic and sad part of this is that even the ventilators that are provided are not going to save the lives we need to save. ARDS has a 40% morbidity rate. So this is absolutely tragic. These are scary statistics our government put out through President Trump, the presidential press conference news briefings, their model. They are expecting, and they release this to the public. So, I mean, it's a big deal when your own government tells you they're expecting 100,000 to 240,000 people expected and projected to die from this. I mean, it's incredibly alarming, Evan.
Yes, it is.
And you know what? I mean, the key right now is mitigation. They've made it very clear. It's going to take mitigation. It's going to take cooperation, compliance from the states and in the populations of those states. People really need to be self-aware right now, really practice social distancing, self-isolation, self-quarantine. And you know what? In the last broadcast we did, Governor Hogan of Maryland, the state I live in, had not given the orders yet. He gave an advisory, but not the orders, the official mandated orders to stay at home. All those except for essential workers and for essential tasks. And the truth is, it's going to take compliance and cooperation from our American public to really eradicate this pandemic and get it under control. And you know what, Evan? I mean, this is just devastating. And I want to touch on how hard this is on those that are already under distress and already under stress. Like the mentally ill population, I made it. I was candid. I made it clear in our last broadcast. I have PTSD, so do a lot of people. There's all kinds. There's a vast variety of mental disorders and mental disabilities, and it's incredibly stressful for them,
Yes, it is.
like it is for me. I mean, I cried my eyes out
I know,
yesterday.
hon. I saw that on your
So
Facebook
can you
status.
please let people know, like, if they need somewhere to turn, and please do. You're not alone. We're all in this together, and um, Evan has some information for you. If you're feeling low, if you're feeling down, if you're feeling alone, if you need help or you just need to talk to somebody, Evan, can you get that information up?
I've already got it up here. What I got for you here, folks, is the number for the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. That's an 800 number. You can call that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and talk to somebody. And there's a number there also below it. That's just in Iowa, but you might want to check with your state. This is called the Iowa Warm Line. The Warm Line is a kind of a unique hotline for people that aren't maybe quite suicidal, but they're really depressed and just want somebody to talk to. With all of us
Yeah.
isolating, if you're alone, you might need somebody to talk to if you don't have
You
any
don't have to
people.
do this alone.
That's right.
There are people that care
There
and
are.
are there.
And like you mentioned, something else we have here, veterans are extremely susceptible to depression because they, like you said, PTSD. Talk about some PTSD if you were a vet in combat, or, I mean, a vet now. Just think of the pandemics that's going on, what they have to deal with. They have to be out there anyway. Well, if you notice on the image I have up on your screen here, there's a 1-800 call number, which you can also chat on, or you can text the number below that. There's also an 800 number for the military personnel that are deaf or hard of hearing. They will hook you up with a interpreter or someone that can teleprompt your messages to someone else that can help.
I mean, you're really important. Everybody is really important. And you know what? I mean, it's just devastating. And then the presidential press conferences, releasing this information, these models of an expected 100,000 to 240,000 death toll in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I mean,
That's
this is
scary.
massive. This is more than some wars. I mean,
Oh, we've
it's a
already,
really big deal. But I want to make the point, Evan, about mitigation. So the importance of mitigation. And in order for mitigation to be effective, it takes cooperation, it takes compliance, it takes the states and the residents of the states being compliant. So that means stay home, self isolate, self quarantine, social distance. I mean, this is really serious, and I encourage our viewer audience to take this very seriously. And unfortunately, I see a lot of people being reckless out there.
yep.
And now is not the time. I mean, we really need to hunker down and do what's best for humanity. Um, I mean, without proper mitigation, the death toll that would be expected is 1 million to 2.2 million people just in the U.S. alone. I mean,
That's
we're
why
a
we
large
gotta flatten
country.
that curve. That's right.
We need to flatten that curve, and it's going to take compliance and cooperation from every American and every resident of every state. Evan, I love you.
Love you too,
Um,
hon. I
Me
like
and
what you're talking
Evan
about
go
with
way
the
back. We're
medication.
old friends. We're old roommates. We're tight. I call him my Evie Bear. And Evan just wanted to say a little something to the public
Yep.
because
This
he's
is
the
Evan.
Evie Bear.
Hi, folks.
That's
How are
you.
you?
That's you. He really does care, and I care too. And then don't forget to show them me.
Well, this is Christine looking back at
That's
me.
us waving at each other. We're all waving at each other from the inside. We're
That's
all on
right.
the inside now. And you know what? It's a horrible time, and it's a horrible pandemic, and these are really trying times. It's incredibly hard on people that are already under an excessive amount of stress. But Evan, what can we do to protect ourselves? You had some information. I mean, we talked in the last broadcast about the shortage of PPE, protective equipment. We talked about
PPE,
what
personal
you could
protective
do
equipment. That's right.
to participate in reducing this shortage by helping yourself. But what can individuals do, Evan, to protect themselves and protect others?
One of the things I want to go back to what you were talking about with mitigation. Bunch of things we can do. If you do have to go out, keep in mind that there's a lot of people like our retail workers, our grocery store workers that are working under these bad conditions. Follow the instructions in the store. I know that some places are only allowing a certain number of people in at a time. A lot of them have the floors taped up so that you can social distance. Pay attention to those signs. If something is out on the shelves, don't go bothering the employees and asking, "Is this really out?" Yes, it's really out. Don't make
Yeah,
them
keep
stressed
your
out.
distance. Keep
Yeah,
your distance. And it was on, and it's been reported now that just talking to another person, just standing within breath,
well, of
slang,
course. This
you
is
can
a
catch it that way. This virus is incredibly contagious.
That's right. It's called vector-borne. I don't know if you're aware of that. A vector-borne virus is a virus that can be transmitted through the air. Speaking of being vector-borne, we talked last time about masks. We gave you a couple of websites that you could go to make masks, and Joann's is still offering fabric. I found a couple of others. I'll try to include the website. There's one you can make. We talked about it being an N95 is what they're short of. The 95 stands for it cuts out 95% of the particulates. You can also make one that cuts out 99% of the particulates. I'll try to include this in the video. First, if you don't have a mask, here is a quick way of making one just out of a kerchief. Of course, this won't cut out all the particulates that we were talking about, but having a mask is better than not having a mask. Anything's better than nothing. And if you look, there was a quick video just then about how to make one like in seconds with a kerchief. There are those that you can make. I'll put in a website address.
And you don't have to use a kerchief. You can use any piece of fabric.
That's true. A napkin would work.
So that could be like you could cut up an old t-shirt.
True.
You could cut up, excuse me, any piece of fabric that resembles a scarf or kerchief. And you already put that up, Evan?
Yeah. I already put that one up. There's another one you can make. A doctor came up with this idea that'll cut out 99% of the particulates, but you have to go out and buy it if you don't have this at home. It's made from HEPA vacuum cleaner bags. You can make what's
very not good to know, Evan.
Yeah, I thought that was
yeah,
cool.
Because it's non-woven fabric.
Exactly.
That's the thing. You want non-woven fabric for a mask.
Yeah.
So like paper, pressed paper, and from what I understand or what I already know, a vacuum bag, a HEPA bag, is made of just that.
Well, it's lined with a HEPA filter, which for like people with allergies. Right?
That works as the best filter, basically. And you know what? I mean, this is going to take teamwork, everybody. This is going to take a group effort, power in numbers. I mean, if we stick together and we're vigilant and we heed the warnings and we heed the government orders and we do what we're supposed to do, we can beat this.
That's right.
But it's going to take compliance and cooperation from our states and our American public. So everybody needs to do their part.
Well, speaking of people doing their part, you know, the people that are doing the most and the ones that are the most in danger are the people that are in the hospitals. So quick shout out. We got to love those people. They're taking care of us. They're our real heroes right now. They're risking their lives so that we can get past.
I mean, in Atlanta, Georgia, there was cheering when the doctors and nurses changed shift. People clapping and hollering and cheering them on because they really are on the front lines and they really are risking their lives.
Right.
And so are the people that are stocking the shelves. Yep. So are the people that are providing us food.
That's right.
I mean, and keeping the deliveries going and keeping the market stocked. I mean, it's all in high demand right now, so it's very hard to come by things.
Yep.
But you got to give props where props are due. And there's people that you wouldn't think are on the front lines, but they really are. Like people making minimum wage, just going to work every day to make sure you have food. I mean, but you know what? It's amazing and it's beautiful how everyone's come together. And, you know, last thing I want to say, Evan, is the world is very sick right now. And we need to give it tender, loving care. And we need to give each other tender, loving care. Stay together while staying separated. Stay connected. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. If you feel alone or you feel stressed, call somebody.
That's right.
Call somebody. And we put up some numbers earlier. If you're really feeling down and out and really alone. And
there's the numbers again.
I do want to make a correction from our last broadcast. I said Dr. Fauci, I put him in the wrong position. Anthony Stephen Fauci, Dr. Fauci, who was speaking along with President Trump at the briefings, and I encourage everybody to watch the actual briefings before they watch the secondary news. I was incorrect. I stated it incorrectly. He's not the WHO leader. He's actually a physician, an immunologist. He's the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. And I can't praise him enough because you know what? He's apolitical. He doesn't get into politics. He's making appearances. He's trying to get the word out there. He's giving it to us straight people. So big props to Dr. Fauci. He's a good man. And he's our leader right now. He's our leading physician and immunologist, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases. So I just want to stand myself corrected from our last broadcast. But Evan, I mean, we love you people. We're doing this because, well, me and Evan love each other and we love you too. And, just trying to get the word out there and spread awareness.
Well, you take care there in Maryland. I'll keep taking care here in Iowa. And folks, take care of yourself. Stay indoors. If you got to go out, make a mask, do something, wash your hands when you get home, wash your hands after going to every store. But just take care of yourself.
Please do. We love you.
We love you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Caught in a lockdown, no escape from the quarantine. Time really flies if you just keep yourself busy. 3 weeks at home, boy, you could write your own symphony. Or you could play the drum, learn to sew, watch your favorite TV